What have you been putting off? Waiting for retirement, thinking, I'll get to that someday. What little niggling things that if you tend to them now, they take a lot less time than you probably think they will, and they kind of weigh heavy on your subconscious. I know for me, there's been a lot of health things that I've personally addressed, but when it comes to the little bitty, slow build, slow burn things, I explain them away. I got to Google. I search on, and now ChatGPT, I search on the symptoms, etc., etc. And oh, okay, that's just, I slept the wrong way. Or I must have been really cold last night. Well, sometimes the most easiest to reverse address, take care of issues we put off too long, and they become much more substantial. So as we do a lot of talking about prepping for this prepping, I guess that's what we are. We are retirement. We're next chapter preppers. There we go. Got to prep for something, I guess. But as we do a lot of thinking and planning and working to look at what we need to move into this next chapter of life where we don't have to work full time or we don't have to go into a job, period. Some people call it retirement. I call it next chapter. But part of that, especially if you've got a few years left to go. Now, I'm not quite 60. Yes, would I love to retire early, leave this job early? I would. But I also know it is a tool that I am using to build what I need for my next chapter, me and my husband. But more importantly, it's got some benefits attached to it, like the health benefits. So I'm making certain that I start addressing everything that needs to be addressed, baselines, etc., because as we age, there are certain things that it's best to know in our 50s. What were the numbers for this? Talk to your doctors. Ladies, we've got a whole list of things that our doctors want us to start addressing to get a baseline on so that as we age, there is something to compare it to. Oh, this still looks great. This hasn't really changed much. So it's not just about the dollars. I do a lot of talking about that. Planning for this next chapter, yes, it is financially driven decisions. But you want to be the best version of you physically that you can be to enjoy this next chapter of your life, to be able to get on the floor and play with those grandkids or those great-grandkids, to walk the Carmen de Santiago in Spain, to be able to just walk around the grocery store. I've got people in my life that are my age, maybe a little bit older, that have trouble doing that. We are not too old, period, to be able to impact our health and our physical beings in a positive way to give us a better quality of life as we continue to age. Again, more sunsets behind us than we have sunrises in front of us, but we're in control of this. So I encourage us all to look at not just our dollars, but the scorecard of our own personal health and start addressing these things now. All right, so I explained away what has turned out to be, I am ate up with carpal tunnel in both hands. This has been a slow burn. I first noticed early symptoms back during my early 40s, so about 15 years ago, I started noticing these things. And yes, it wasn't ready for medical intervention then, but I could have done some lifestyle adjustments and avoided the quality of life issues I have suffered for about the past year. And now I'm facing a surgery tomorrow. I'm going to have carpal tunnel release surgery on the right hand first. This is my dominant hand. It is the one that's got the majority of the symptoms. I'm having the endoscopic version versus the open version, I think it's called, where historically they've cut the palm open to access the carpal tunnel. Now there's just a little slit in the wrist where they'll go in with one of those fancy little cameras and tiny little nano blades, etc. I had a horrible night. and I am ready for this to happen today. So today is the day. I meant to make this video last night because I've done all sorts of preparations. Now, I've been single and living independently since my early 30s. Yes, currently married. Husband is in another state. So when these non-emergency things happen, I tend to manage them myself independently. So if I'm going to have one hand out of commission, and I'm not certain how out of commission it's going to be, I'm going to make these videos to let you know. I found lots of YouTube videos on people who'd gone through the open carpal tunnel, and there's a lot of limitations with that immediately after surgery and for the next 2 weeks and beyond that I am beginning to believe are not part of the orthoscopic version of it, but I've prepared anyway. If somebody told me the power is not going to go out in the next hurricane, does that mean I'm not going to make sure all my backups are charged, etc.? No, I'm going to make sure everything's charged. Same thing with water. If a hurricane's coming and somebody says, well, your water's not going to go out, nothing's going to happen to the water, I'm still going to make sure I've got water. I've been through too many of those rodeos in my lifetime to be without. Same thing with today's surgery. So last evening, I spent a lot of time opening water bottles and making sure that they were available so I could very easily take the tops off, even though they're not going to fall and spill. Opening my over-the-counter pain relievers, my daily tablets, and by tablets, that's my expat friend's way of saying my daily pills, you know, as far as my multivitamins, etc. Make sure those are accessible. I prepared and pre-made some breakfasts, some lunches, some dinners so that I can one-handedly pull them out, heat them up, pop them in the microwave or the toaster oven. I've got those things ready to go for today's surgery. And I've not dressed yet, but of course there's the pre-op instructions of you must bathe twice with bacterial soap, etc., etc., and where conveniently pull on and take off clothing, because I'm going to be operating one-handedly possibly for the next few days, if not the next few weeks. So there's some personal things that I'm trying to get in front of. So I've got my outfit I'm going to wear. It's pull-up linen pants. It's a pullover t-shirt. Of course, my underthings, which they say can stay on during surgery instead of, you know, when you go in for other procedures like the colonoscopy. It's like, oh, put on this and nothing else. TMI, I know. Anyway, so I have prepared all of that, but there's a list of questions, and I still need to print those out. I'm glad I'm making this video, but I have a list of questions for my doctor to make sure I get the information for after surgery with the orthoscopic. What are my post-surgical requirements? Can I lift something over 5 pounds? I hear a lot of talk about that, and I think it applies regardless of if it's open or ortho. But stay tuned. I'm going to let you know exactly what the doctor says. And then as far as what's the bandaging going to be with the open, these people are walking out with these big giant muffs of hand gauze and etc. Can I move it? A lot of videos are telling me that as soon as I can to begin moving my hand and making sure I keep everything, you know, movement is lubrication is what the PT people tell my mother. So I want to make sure that I'm doing everything right and not pushing myself too hard, too fast, which I'm notorious for. He did tell me last week that within a day I could drive and I could type, where a lot of the videos with the open type of surgery, you can't do it. So I'm excited about doing the orthoscopic. I'm excited about this. Last night was the last night. This hand should be waking me up with a tremendous amount of pain and discomfort. I had both hands go crazy last night at work this week in preparation of making sure that I can go back on Monday, because today is Wednesday, surgery on Wednesday. I'm going to go back the following Monday. But I wanted to make sure I got literally all the heavy lifting out of the way, so that I could be focused on just simply computer work over the next couple of weeks, depending on what my work limitations are in my healing prognosis. So with that said, I don't care what you've been putting off health-wise. address it now, especially if you're in a job that's got health benefits. Take advantage of that. Don't put it off any longer. Your future self is going to thank you. Stay tuned. I will be doing clips throughout the day as I have the ability. I'm sure I will take my phone, obviously, because it goes with me everywhere, but I'll do some updates with pre-op and post-op, and then you'll get to see me in all my glory afterwards in another video. So you guys keep coming back. I'm Jenny. I post on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I got a little to say about a lot of stuff. All of it has to do with this next chapter of life, retirement, or whatever you want to call it. This is part of my glide down strategy, addressing physical health issues that I need to get ahead of, get resolved before I move into this next chapter, regardless of what my health care coverage is going to be. I will see y'all soon. Stop recording.